So we've had a full weekend of action, and it's come down to 2 remaining games, and it's 2 young men in the arena. At the table, Callum Singleton, his opponent, Shaun Storry. Over on table 11, an all-Scottish affair between Mark Boyle and Scott Gillespie. "128 players started on Friday morning, and 4 remain. Who will lift the trophy and take the title? Callum Singleton has been nothing but impressive from the start to the finish of this series. Shaun Storry also has had deep runs. They've both knocked on the door, and one of them will be in the final. Over the course of the next 2 hours, we'll find out who that's going to be. It's a good shot from Callum. Judged it really well. Great pace. That yellow could have easily gone in the path through to the top corner, but he judged it really well. Hit it hard enough to make sure it cleared, and again judges that gap. Callum has just beaten Tom Cousins in a hill decider to get his place in this semi-final. A little later we'll go through the route that these 2 players have taken to get here. But that's a big error from Callum. Pretty big margin of error, and he's overhit that by a good 8-10 inches. Plays a good shot to get out of the snooker, but that's as much as he could do, and I think he's going to be in trouble in just a few seconds. Can't see Shaun attacking from here when he's can lay such an easy and effective trap at the top of the table and try and win himself the free shot. If he thinks he can attack from here, then he probably will, but doesn't need to. It's called his extension. Players permitted 1 extension. It's a 45-second clock. And I was going to say, he's looked at several different options, but it's all going to come back to a snooker. Can't go to side rails. Red's in the path one way, black in the path the other. There is a 1 cushion escape. He could go to bottom rail, come just miss the black, and load up with right hand side. But a more natural escape and easier to judge. There's 2 rails, side and bottom. And Shaun extracts the foul, gets the free visit. Asks referee Viv Rusco to hand over the cue ball. We are live on 2 platforms, on Facebook and on YouTube. Whichever one you're watching on, we just ask that you like and share the stream. 2 tables live. This one and the Mark Boyle Scott Gillespie game, and I know that the commentary over there will be brought to you from the 2 Irishmen, Carl O'Donoghue and Stevie Dempsey. These players guaranteed a £2,000 payday. The winner will be guaranteed £3,000, and the winning finalist will take home £5,000 and the trophy. And there you see that trophy in the middle of your shot, looking resplendent. Very impressive. And Shaun Storry picks up that frame, takes the early honours. Callum couldn't take his chances. Impressive piece of silverware to put on the mantelpiece. Callum craning around Shaun to get a look, and eagerly jumps out of his chair when the cue ball goes in off. And he has 1 free shot and 1 visit. There's unusually balls on both side rails. In fact, there's 7 balls on the rail. I say unusually. Really is quite strange to see so many balls on the cushions. And also, really strange that Callum didn't try to develop a couple of the balls off the rails. And now, he is going to try and develop the balls. Not quite sure I understand that. He had the ball in hand in the free shot, and he used the free shot to get himself an angle to get the balls out, where he could have just gone straight into the balls and got them out. Callum does come from a world rules background. He plays EPA. So, don't know what his experiences are like in playing black ball rules. I'm sure he understands them. I'm sure he had a plan. But it just seemed odd that he just didn't go straight for the developing. Across on table 11, Scott Gillespie is 2-1 up against Mark Boyle. So your players coming to the table now. Shaun Storry. He's 32 years old. His nickname is PF1. He uses a maple cue with a 8mm Century G2 tip. His achievements so far: he won the Bulldog Challenge, the £250 a man winner, which was like the precursor to this event. It was basically the players' amateur series. He was the May 2017 Hearts Tour winner, National Amateur runner-up 2017, and he's played his fair bit in 9-ball as well. Runner-up in 2017 of the GB9 main event final 2012, GB9 challenge event winner in 2011. He used to play a lot of 9-ball. And his greatest influence has been his Colchester team, and probably the reason that he's kept playing the game rather than sticking with 9-ball. It was a good bunch of friends. Favourite player is Ronnie O'Sullivan. He said he's the only player to make an effort to watch rather than just check what the score is. His ambition, he would like to achieve is a world championship. And his hobbies include investing, travelling, flying cars and motorbikes, so he obviously has a need for speed, and is a very thoughtful and reflective player too. He was telling us in his post-match interview on Friday that he likes to use kind of meditative and motivational methods to prepare himself for matches. Often listens to motivational speeches and things that are going to put him in a positive mindset prior to the game. And I think there's probably a lot to be said for that. Mindset is so much of this game, so much a part. I know sometimes I relate pool to poker, and I know in poker a lot of people have mind coaches helping them with their mindset and how they approach the game mentally. And a lot could be said for the same in this game as well. They say that 80% of this game is played between the ears, only 20% on the table. And it's so true. Your mindset can win or lose you so many matches. So Shaun's opponent, who is now at the table, is Callum Singleton. His nickname is Singu. He's 23 years old. He not sure who the manufacturer of his cue is, because his dad bought it off of a mate when he was 12 years old. And he uses a 7.3mm tip, which when you compare it to, we were commentating on a match yesterday, and there were a couple of players. One had a 9.2mm tip, and the other had a 10mm tip. And you can see 7.3mm. That's skinny. I know once I tried playing with a 7.5mm tip, and I just kept imparting too much side on the ball. Couldn't use it. His achievements: he's won multiple team world championships, European championships, making a world junior final, making European men's final, winning the under-23 world championships, winning the men's home nations, winning a national interleague cup title with the Leicester team. Started playing pool at a very young age. His dad influenced him and started him playing. And his biggest inspiration has been Stacey Vine, who taught him a huge amount when he was younger about how to keep his temperament in the big games. He doesn't think that he'll be where he is today without Stacey's help. But he credits most of the things that he's won down to his dad. So his ambition when he got in the England team was to become a world champion. So he's already achieved that, but he wants to win the men's worlds. And he admits to being a terrible loser. But that's no bad thing. Anyone who enjoys losing probably should be playing the game. You have to have that passion, that drive and ambition to win. He says that other talents, he's a decent dart player and a decent skill player, so I don't think there's any coincidence that the things he's good at, pool, snooker, and pool, skittles and darts, are all the kind of trilogy of pub sports. So those are our players. This one a tricky little starting frame, technical battle. Still only played one frame here, whereas on the other table, Scott Gillespie is now 4-1 ahead of Mark Boyle. They've played 5 frames. So Callum had a bit of a lash trying to play the skill shot. It didn't come off, so just laid another snooker. Reds have a massive advantage now in this frame. I think, yeah, I was going to say he's got to try and pop this in top left and come around the table and play the skill shot, but I'll tell you something, he's been fortunate there, hasn't he? I mean, it's that could have gone so very wrong, and he's snookered Shaun on all the 3 reds, and just left him the one over the pocket, which he kind of wants to force him to pot. Shaun doesn't have to pot it. He decided to try and take the aggressive route, and that's just not worked out for him at all. I think the red does pass to bottom left, goes above the yellow, but unless he can cannon into the red, there's no aggressive options, so he's just going to play this red and run in behind the yellow That's okay. Takes away all the attacking options for Callum. And difficult to find a safe place on the table. So that's a decent little shot from Shaun. Oh dear. Has he had a kick there? As soon as it made contact, it died, and you heard a intake of breath from Shaun. And the clue is that he's getting the cue ball cleaned. What a time to get a kick. Referee Viv Resco asking Shaun to go back to his seat, which is one of the rules that often a player will use, because they're on a 45-second clock. They'll use this tactic, getting the cue ball cleaned, to give them a little bit more time to be able to assess the table and work out their route. So the rules are that you go back to your seat, so you're not getting any kind of tactical advantage, which I know obviously Shaun wasn't doing, but rules is rules, and Viv Rasco is stickler for the rules. Played a nice shot and been a bit fortunate there. Just caught the knuckle of the pocket, could have gone in off. And now asking for the black to be cleaned. I think he's seen a spot of chalk on it. Doesn't want to get another kick. Nice back and a 2-0 lead.
Frame number 3, Callum Singleton to break, trailing 2 frames to 0. Time running.
people watching across YouTube and Facebook. And good evening and warm welcome to you. If you're only just joining us, we've been here all weekend. Where have you been? We're at the Players Pool and Snooker Lounge at Newcastle under Lyme. We were watching event 4 of the Supreme Series. We're down to the semi-final. Shaun is going to go reds. Didn't want that kiss, but he's just nudged them into a plant. So should be okay. Across on the other table, Scott Gillespie now 6 frames to 1 ahead. The red passed below the other one. Wasn't sure if it did. Thought he would have had to plant them, but he's okay. Now he's looking down at the bottom of the table, whether he can get through to the potting angle of either one of these reds. Not sure either one of those go. Well, where he's left it. Well, they certainly do, don't they, yet, from that camera angle. Thanks to George for bringing us the great angles around the room on the roving camera. Now, who would bet against Scott Gillespie on winning another one? Wouldn't that be an incredible story? 4 events and only 2 different winners. Phil Harrison winning 2 and Scott Gillespie winning 2. That would just be with the talent lined up in this field. It would be an amazing story, but there's a couple of players who will have something to say about it. Certainly one of these 2. Mistake from Shaun. Again, one of those who's got a fair margin for error, no real excuse for hampering himself behind this yellow. And this is where his 9-ball background will help as well. The 9-ball players just know their angles so well, so good at kicking. Chris Manning's another one, just fabulous at kicking balls. He's not looking at just hitting this, he was looking at potting it. And he's put his hand up to apologise to Callum. He's been a touch fortunate there, but where the black's gone shouldn't be a problem for Callum. He should be able to duck this yellow to the bottom of the table. 244 matches of pool have been played over this weekend. 244 to get us down to this point. Some of those races to 8, some of those races to 11. I'd love to know how many frames that was. Got to be in excess of 4,000. Maybe as many as 5,000. We've had so many hill games.
1 free shot, 1 visit, timely.
148 frames were played in the last 16 alone. So yeah, 4,000 or 5,000 frames of pool played across 16 tables in the same venue. And just 3 more matches to conclude. Callum Singleton is going to get his name on the scorecard. In just about 30 seconds from now. As he goes about this simple clearance. Perfect angle on the yellow. To run at the table. 12 inches. To leave a straight black. Two frames to 1. Mark Ball's pulled a frame back. Scott Gillespie now leads 6-2.
Frame number 4, Shaun Storry. Shaun Storry to break, leading 2 frames to 1. Time running. shot, 1 visit. Time running.
Apologies, I just stepped away for a quick bathroom break. Callum on yellows. Just a touch high on this yellow. But I think he can just stun down and either just hold on the black. It's the only reason he's given it any thought. Is because it's just got just too much angle. That natural path kind of takes him straight towards the black, which could go wrong. So looking at rerouting, just measuring up the one below the black. And this is why we play to areas, to give you these options. If it doesn't quite go right, you can always pick another route. And again, just needs to be careful. These can go wrong. Should be absolutely fine just to stun through the gap. Okay, that's why I say they can go wrong. Just try to pick the narrow route between yellow and black. Just flick the black, and that could have gone worse. You can nip this into the middle. As I say, he was always just running out of position there. And one thing kind of leads to another, and it roll the balls up until eventually you miss. And that all came because he finished about an inch or two too high on the yellow to the middle. Shaun going to be taking the double. doing so, he's going to cannon the other red towards the pocket. Oh, he's not. Deciding to take a conservative route instead, and he's just snooking him behind the red. It's a decent snooker too. Try to ensure that the red came out to cover the natural path to the top pocket. Well, this would be some shot. That was really well worked out. Very hard to judge when you're going to a rail that's only like an inch away from the ball. I'm conscious now that as this Sunday has as we progress through the day and the players have thinned out as they've gone home following their defeats, and the fans have made their way home, the room is in absolute silence. So I'm trying to keep my voice down because we're so close to the table. I'm just conscious that I don't want to disturb the players. Shaun Storry takes full advantage of that mistake from Callum Singleton, and now he leads 3 frames to 1. Scott Gillespie is now 8-2 up on Mark Boyle, and it's looking very ominous.
Frame number 5, Callum Singleton to break, trailing 3 frames to 1. Time running.
How is that red not dropped in the middle bag? Can somebody tell me? It almost looked like it dipped into the pocket. It's absolutely hanging. And things just not clicking for Callum the way they have been so far this weekend. And it's almost like a hangover from the previous game, because he's just played Tom Cousins and beaten him. And at the end of that game, he's given a holler of all that kind of tension came out. And then you go away from that game thinking, yes, I've got rid of a demon there. I've managed to beat Tom Cousins. But then you've got to somehow inflate yourself again, ready for the next match, ready for the next semi-final. Oh no. No, that's just loose. That's all you can say. Trying to put off the red and open the pocket. And he's just forgotten. And you could hear a audible intake of breath. So Callum, yellow into top corner, screw down the rail, nudged this one out, controlled it really well, played it perfectly, and there's now a good chance for him to get his momentum going, get his mojo working. And again, we mentioned in the quarter-final, when we saw Jordan Shepherd against Mark Boyle, it was those early frames when it was won and lost. A few early mistakes from Jordan, and he couldn't quite get going. And then he was always playing catch-up and never caught up.
10 seconds.
And that's going to be very much the same in this game as well. Really, really important early frames. People think, oh, it's a race to 11. If he goes a few behind, he can always catch them up. But the difference here, with that mistake from Shaun, between 4-1 and 3-2, immeasurable. I mean, those 3 frames, Shaun would have been just riding on a wave, and Callum playing catch up. But at 3-2, it's a whole different game. Needs to measure the cannon here. Can't avoid cannoning the yellow. I think personally, I take the left hand one of the 2, which he's changed his mind, he's going to play that. Play the left hand, run around the table for the yellow in the centre, and he wanted to leave himself pretty much dead straight on this, and he could just drop it in, and he's got the other yellow. He is still okay. He can play this, and I think he can stun across the side rail and come below the yellow for the yellow in the middle. Or if he's got a thin enough angle, well, he ran into it. I mean, it's worked perfectly. Shaun taps the side of the arena to say well done. Judge that to absolute perfection. I preferred the way he took those when he had that choice of 2 yellows. If you take the one to the right, yeah, you've got an unavoidable cannon onto the other yellow, and you could push that safe. You could push it to side rail, bottom rail, and that could have gone ugly. So I much prefer taking the left and running the white ball around the table. It just gives you so many more options, and that's what he did. And he's 3-2.
Storry to break, leading 3 frames to 2. Time running.
Wow. Really close. That white ball just rattled the top corner. And just for a split second, it didn't look like anything was going to drop. But he actually found one of each set. One red, one yellow. And given the choice, he's going to want to go reds here. Yellows have a much easier opener. He's got the one to the right corner pocket. Red's a much more difficult proposition. Quarters extension. So it's all about the opening ball. He's going to have to take a more difficult red. He's looking to see whether this red goes long. It doesn't. So he's going to have to cut it into middle. Wow. He obviously thought it did go long. But playing it over that distance, I think he only had half a pocket, and I think he was trying to nick a bit of the pocket there. Playing it over that distance is near impossible. I think he was better off trying to cut it to middle. An awkward little cut, but basically that was the difference between taking the frame or basically giving it away. Because these reds are about as simple a dot-to-dot finish as you'll ever see. I call them dot-to-dots because it really is like one of those dot-to-dot puzzles where it's just about joining the dots. It's just simple. You number 1 to number 2 to number 3. Just taking number 1, number 2. He can screw back to about where he is now. And then literally, if he wants to, he can just play a drop in and find the gap between black and yellow. And then take these balls at the bottom of the table.
10 seconds.
Taking this extension. Giving it a lot of thought. Maybe he's seeing something. I mean, there is a bit of traffic down the bottom of the table for sure. Obviously has his reasons for playing this way. I still think, I mean, he looked like he was straight on the one by the baulk line, and he could just screw straight back for the other one in the middle and then work his way down the table, but he's still absolutely fine. He can screw this off the side rail, come right the way down the table. Certainly didn't play to collide with the black, but not a problem. Puts his hand up to apologise, but I think he would have been extremely unlucky not to be on a ball. So, as it is, he's landed pretty much perfect. Again, it's just not happening for him at the moment. He's tried to hold the white on the yellow. Again, I just don't think he seems to be playing with a clear mind at the moment. From where he was, he could have taken the right red. This one he's playing now. He could have taken that one and come up in the big gap between the two yellows for the other red. But doesn't matter. He's played it really well. And he's pots of black, and probably didn't go about them in an absolutely classic manner. He's had to change his plan a couple of times there, but it doesn't matter. There's a W in the box and a point on his side, and it's now 3-all, and there's no pictures on the scorecard. All square in this game. Across in the other semi-final, Scott Gillespie 9-2 ahead, needing just 2 more to get into his second final. So, a couple of things. If you want to watch that Scott Gillespie v Mark Boyle game, you can watch it. We're streaming it on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search for Beard Productions, it will be live on our channel. In fact, all of the games that we've seen over this weekend will be there. If there's anything you fancy watching, we've literally been streaming 4 tables all weekend for every session. So I don't know how many we film. I think someone said last time it was about 70 games, is it, over the weekend? Something along those lines. 76 rings a bell. So you'll see all of those games from the weekend, and you can maybe just catch up with them through the week, through the coming weeks. Get your fix of the Supreme Pool Series before we come back into your living rooms in November, the end of November, for the grand final. And a £51,000 cheque awaits the winner. We're very excited about that one. Can't wait. What an amazing break here from Callum Singleton. Just, I mean, balls far and wide. And if you could do that every time, this game would be so easy. He's potted 4 balls, 3 yellows and a red. And if you find yourself on our YouTube channel while you're there, please do subscribe. And also, if you're watching on Facebook, you'll see a little share button at the bottom. If you could just click that for us, we would be most appreciative. There's also one on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube. That's all we ever ask from you guys. If you want to keep up with any of the action, the notices and the chat that goes on around the Supreme Pool Series, then you need the Players Pool Events page on Facebook. So if you just type in the search Players Pool Events, and you give that page a like, and you'll get notifications. You'll know when the cutter's coming up. You'll get the bookies' prices and all of the chat and banter that goes with it. Oh no, oh no. Wow. From that break, that should have just been a simple clearance. And that just shows how reactive this cloth is. I mean, he's barely hit that. He's timed that so perfectly. And he's just tried to screw up into the gap by the middle bag to leave the red. And he's timed it so well. It's just absolutely flown straight into the middle bag. So a win here for Shaun Storry, and he's nicked that one. Should have never had a chance. And Free with Roscoe resetting the balls, and Shaun, he looks comfortable, doesn't he? And you see just walking across the back of the shop there in the black and white t-shirt. That gentleman is the man who runs the sweepstake. If you're on the players page, you'll have seen the sweepstake, the £20 per person sweepstake, which is a great idea. Generates like £2,500. It's something. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's about £1,000 or something for the winner. I mean, it's, for 20 quid, it's well worth entering. Some lucky person is going to win £1,000 tonight for a 20 quid investment, and I mean that's really great from Daz. That's Shaun, that is, by the way. He also runs the grabber group, which was a great idea by him. And if you weren't familiar with that, you basically buy a group of 8 players for £200, and that generated a prize pool of, there were 16 groups. And that generated a prize pool of 3,200 quid. So in theory, you could get 2, 3, well, 6 or 8 players if you're really lucky. You get 8 runners in the event, and I think the winner takes home £1,200. So again, good investment. And it's just these little things that run on around the series: the sweepstake, the grabber group, the Calcutta, which has generated way in excess of £250,000-300,000 over the first 4 events. The bookmaker, it's all of these things that add layers of interest. It just makes it great fun. Over the weekend, loads of fans have been here watching, and there's a buzz of anticipation. They've all got their betting slips, they've picked their runners, they've picked their accumulators. So it's Shaun leading 4-3. Again, taking on the long shot as his opener. So Callum on yellows. Don't think he was trying to leave an angle on the yellow to middle to knock the other one out. I think this looks better. Yeah, just play inside and nudge into the yellow. No, sorry, nudge into the red on the side of the cushion and leave the yellow down the rail. Simple, but effective. Callum wins the frame, and that's 4 each. Scott Gillespie is now on the hill. He leads Mark Boyle 10 frames to 3. It's almost like the master and the student, isn't it? The older, more experienced Mark Boyle. He's not that much older, mind. I think he's only a few years older than Scott, but a lot more experienced.
Frame number 9, Callum Singleton to break. 4 frames all. Time running.
Callum breaks dry in frame 9. Kind of in between position on everything. He's looking at this yellow inside the red. Good shot, but can the yellow and lost the white. Nice recovery. Good shot. Still needs to find something. Two yellows at the top of the table. Where his problems lie at the moment. This is a very nice shot. Oh, bit of a grimace. Well, he's not happy, but can only be millimeters from perfect. I think he's just finished the wrong side. If he finishes anywhere below, he's got options to cannon. Or can he get through the gap? He can. What a great shot that was. Played it through the gap. Used the flick on the red and topspin to come around the angles and leave what should now be Fairly easy finish. Just needs to screw this straight down table through the gap between the reds. Come down. Yeah, that's far enough. Ideally, another 8-9 inches, so he could drop this in and leave a straight black up the rail. But he's okay. He's going to leave a tricky black. That's the only problem. Like, again, still not happy, only because he's digging into the white to kill it. Oh, he's played the double. He must have had much more angle than I imagined then. Obviously couldn't hold it at all, so played a nice little double. Steps across to look at the line. Gets down on the shot. Not happy. I think that game on the other table's finished. It has indeed. Scott Gillespie has beaten Mark Boyle 11 frames to 3. That's amazing. And there was a bit of a chatter in the background, so Shaun just resetting. Knows how important that black was. He played it well. Now he leads 5 frames to 4.
Frame number 10. Shaun Storry to break, leading 5 frames to 4. Time running. Thank you, Shaun.
Although he potted 3 balls, it seemed to absolutely time that. And that's why you see a big cluster of balls in the centre of the table. Nice opener. A lot of traffic in these 7 balls that are in this half of the table.
Extension call.
No real obvious path from one to the next. No real obvious path from this yellow to top corner onto the next ball. Screw to the side rail. And he took a look at this yellow a second ago, so it clearly passes to the middle. Would have preferred to be straight. But he's got something to work with. Come off the bottom cushion. Oh. He had a cut. But he glanced off the red, and now this is suddenly difficult. The red passes into left centre, but controlling the cue ball. And still just keeps running out of position. It's going to have to take this long. It will cut to middle, but the white ball is going to be running around the table. No control whatsoever, so he's going to take it long. Hear a cry of anguish from him. He's tried to cannon the black, and somehow, I think, he's found a gap. Surely not. Oh my gosh! And he actually put his hand up to apologise to Callum, because he played to come across and cannon the black, and he didn't know there was a gap there. That's why you heard that cry of anguish and frustration. And then he's come around and looked at it, and oh, I'm plumb. And put his hand up and said sorry, and nailed it. Getting the ball cleaned. Probably rightly so. This, when the balls are close together like this is one of the times you can get a kick. Nice firm pot. And again, holds his hand up to apologise. Wasn't what he played, but they'll take it. So with the other semi-final over, all eyes are now on this table. Another dry break. The crowd's thinned out, but still a decent number around the arena table watching with interest. And the chances keep coming for Shaun.
10 seconds. 5, 4.
He was just about to rush that shot and then thought, no, I'll take my extension. Nice shot, using the yellow. Problem ball is the one just below the black. And he's going to have to use the one to the right by the bulk line to try and screw across. That's no good. He was trying to leave an angle now, but needed to be 12 inches to the right. All his eggs in one basket now. This one's going to take some cueing. Not only needs to get the red out, he needs to land on it as well. This should be some shot. Not quite what he had planned. May be able to play the double. But this is a tough shot. Oh my goodness me. That this is absolutely ridiculous. The audacity to even take. I mean, he had nothing else, so he had to take it on, but what a shot. What a shot. Oh, dear me. Breathtaking, that one. You can see other players now in the club, just trying out these new cloths, seeing what they're like. First chance that a lot of people would have had to play on it. The feedback from the players is that they like it. Fast and responsive. All you can ask for from a good competition cloth.
Storry to break. Leading 7 frames to 4. Tie.
Yeah, that was some clearance, and that will give Shaun so much confidence. Now he leads 7 frames to 4. Again, makes a ball, and you can just see him stretching his back in the background. And there's some high praise indeed. Over on the Facebook feed, Jay Dewar, who was playing in the event, said it's the best cloth he's played on. So, as I say, high praise indeed when you think of the other cloths available on the market. And yeah, the feedback has generally been good. Well, really good actually. A couple of people were still kind of getting used to it, but that's expected. I'm sure Lee Kendall will appreciate your comments, Jay, and hope you had a safe journey home. Another great chance here for Shaun. So the only real problem in this clearance is just getting from one ball to the next. Given this little gathering of 4 balls around the black, or sorry, 3 balls around the black, should I say, it just makes it awkward from getting from one ball to the next one. Just a little gentle soft screw here. And how is he? Well, I think he can play this one to bottom right and just play a little stun shot into the red to leave the yellow for middle. Absolutely perfect. And this is just natural now. Drop this in. The white a few inches up the table. Simple black to extend his lead to 4 frames and go 8-4. And now this is a good performance from Shaun.
break, trailing 8 frames to 4. Time running.
10 seconds. Five, four. Seconds. Extension.
Extension call.
Yeah, this has been a good clearance. Nice take on reds, and Shaun simple black and He now leads by 5 frames, and it's 9-4. And you'd have to say it's going to be Shaun Storry in the final against Scott Gillespie, barring an epic comeback from Callum Singleton. And the chat box mentioning what a good clearance that was, and I apologise. I just had to step away for a quick bathroom break, so I missed a lot of the action, but just caught the end. But he's playing well now. He's taken out several good clearances, and as I was walking past, I see Scott Gillespie in there, sat down talking to Lee Kendall, just looks relaxed and chilled, and he's just waiting for the final. He's been there before. Of course, he won the first event. Oh, again, what a break. So much power generated through that break. Put so much through the ball. And I'm pretty sure that comes from his 9-ball background. You see the 9-ball players, they put so much more body through the ball. Whereas the classic 8-ball break is just, you know, back through the arm, through the elbow. You see the 9-ball players throwing their body more into it. And you see quite a lot of that from Shaun. And yes, Em, I'm reading the chat box. I've been reading the chat box quite a lot over the weekend, actually, but not all the time. You'll have noticed I've been on my own for some big periods this weekend, for some long sessions, so not really had a chance to keep up with both Facebook and YouTube. So apologies for that. Normally try to keep up with you guys. Always easier when there's someone else on commentary to call the action, but co-commentators have been a bit sparse this weekend. That's not worked. He's tried to go down and flick the into the yellow and red, but he's caught the black on the way through, so he's going to have to come up with another plan now, and that could be difficult. He's going to have to take the plant. Taps the table in frustration. Trying to make a plant while going down to develop another red. The problem is with developing this red as well, because it's sandwiched between 2 yellows, it makes it much more difficult.
10 seconds.
Yeah. Heard him say to himself, wild. More focused on making sure he left that angle so he could take the plant and develop the other red at the same time. And no, I don't know. Don't know if we're going to have anyone on commentary for the final with me. some of the usual partners in crime aren't here this weekend. Normally we can coerce people like
10 seconds.
Extension ball.
Chris Melling or Darren Appleton, but of course they're away in China this week. Also Gareth Potts is a regular co-commentator and he's also away. And a lot of the guys who normally step in, Greg, Batten and Matt Brierley and some of the others, they've all gone home now. They're on their way back down the motorway, so it's been a bit sparse. Oh, too much side. Obviously Callum with the same problem as Shaun had. These balls tied up on the right hand rail. I think Carl Donahue and Stevie have gone. I think they've left. They were commentating over on table 11. Maybe had a flight booked. So I'm asking how the series will finish. So what happens now is, this is obviously event 4. We've got event 5 to come, which is the grand final, which is going to be played under the new Supreme rules. And all the way through the first 4 events, players have picked up ranking points. So the further you get in the tournament, the more ranking points you get. I think you get something like 10 points for turning up and 20 points for losing in round 1 or whatever. I can't remember exactly how the points work out, but they go up and up the further you go. And so the grand final will be seeded based on those ranking points. So I'd imagine probably at the moment Phil Harrison is got to be ranked number 1, hasn't he? If Scott Gillespie wins today, even if he doesn't win, maybe he'll be ranked number 1. I don't know. It's going to be close at the top, and then all the players are seeded down from there, and then you'll be matched. I think, I don't know for sure, but I think it's going to be number 1 versus 128, number 2 versus 127, and so on and so forth. I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. And so obviously there is a prize structure in place. And the first prize is £51,000. And the significance of £51,000 is because Lee Kendall wanted to make it the biggest prize ever given. The previous biggest was £50,000. So this will be 51,000. And I think second place is like £3,000 or something. So there's a massive gulf between first and second. You can absolutely rest assured that when it gets to final 4 or final 2 or even final 8, they'll be talking about striking a deal to chop up that money, especially if it's a couple of mates in the final. So yeah, basically to qualify, I think what actually happens is the prize money for the winner of event 5, the grand final, is £5,000. But there's a bonus of 46,000, basically a jackpot. And the only way you can win that jackpot is if you have to have qualified by playing 3 of the first 4 events. And that just stopped any kind of ringers jumping in for the last event. You might get some bandits just joining for the 50 grand. Kevin suggesting that we get Mr. Kendall in for the co-commentary in the final. Have you listened to him talk? I don't want to listen to him for 2 hours. He's boring. I hope he's listening. I'm just joking. I'm just joking, Lee. Honestly. I got to say that because he pays the wages. No, we will try and get somebody in. So Shaun, it's a bit of a conundrum here, isn't it? He almost certainly has to attack, and plays a nice part of the rail there. That needed good control. So it's about the plant now. Has to make it. It's not set. Dead for the pocket, which makes it missable. He plays it well, but it's not getting any easier because the other red has gone off to side rail now. No, just continuing from what I was saying, the bonus is 46,000 is awarded to the winner of the last event. It's not he who comes seeded the highest. It is for the winner of the grand final. But to qualify for that, you have to play in 3 of the 4 events. So if someone turns up, they haven't played in 3 of the 4 events, then they can't qualify for the 50 grand. But then, you know, why would you turn up if someone's only played in 2? I don't think they want to be playing for a massive prize and then they go on and win it and they can only take 5. And then I guess the jackpot would roll over to next year. I don't know. Oh no. Oh wow. How's that dropped? Just shows these slippery, skiddy, brand new cloths. And he played it just the right weight. And now that's a 10-4 lead, and again puts his hand up in apology. He's done that a few times. Thanks very much for your kind words, Natasha. We just aim to bring you a service. Hopefully you've enjoyed the whole event. Great streaming from Beard Productions. I can't speak highly enough of those guys. They turn up on a Wednesday and put in the hours. If you see the setup that's here, there's literally probably about 5 miles of cables. There's cables absolutely everywhere, and the apparatus. I'm sat behind a 40-inch screen watching this game. The table has, I believe, 7 different camera angles, something like that. Microphones above the tables. I mean, it's just an incredible setup. And Paul and George, they bring you this incredible spectacle just through their hard work and dedication and their absolute determination and stubbornness to make sure everything's exactly right. If I told you that when this setup's put together, they'll probably take about 2 hours or maybe even longer, just making sure the camera angles are exactly right, everything is exactly level, perfectly symmetrical. Spend hours doing it. You wouldn't believe the effort that these guys put in. And M saying the real number one could potentially win 51,000. Well, actually, he doesn't have any chance of winning 51,000 because he's now missed 2 events. And it was really unfortunate. I can't remember his reasons for missing I think he missed event 2, but I know his family member was taken ill just before this event, so he's had to miss this one as well. So he's only would have played 2 events and he won't qualify for the grand final, which is really sad. And no winning bets. Nothing. We came up short a couple of times. I think we just missed out on a 6-fold yesterday by 1 match, which is a bit heartbreaking. That would have hurt the bookie's pocket for sure. That was Mr. Moulding's effort for the weekend, and it was genius, in fact, but not quite genius enough, sadly. 5 out of 6, just not good enough. Well, someone just brought me a cup of tea, and I think they've been washing the plates in it. I mean, look at the state of that. It's right, I wasn't asking you guys to look at the state of it, I was just showing it to Mr. Moulding. It's literally, they've had a bit of fairy liquid, and they washed up all the breakfast dishes, and then poured it into my cup of tea. Ugh. Wish I had a biscuit to go with it. Yes, I did have some biscuits to go with it. I had a pack of biscuits just to my left side. And then Mr. Moulding just sent me a video of him and George looking the happiest I've ever seen them, videoing themselves eating my last 2 shortbreads. The glee on their faces, like 2 naughty young schoolboys. Absolute joy on their face as they've eaten my last 2 biscuits. Can you believe that? Cheers, guys.
Shaun Storry to break, leading 10 frames to 5. Time running.
Look at that cue ball. And still it spins. The next said he was on for his first maximum break last night. He just missed the missed the first red. Very good. Very good. I've done that loads of times. I mean, I've missed so many break dishes on the pool table by missing the first ball. So, Shaun still on the hill, Callum trying to fight back. Just has to take every chance that comes his way. Don't think there's going to be any options to try and skill shot the red that's over the top left pocket, so I think he's probably going to have to try and land on both of these yellows for the middle. I mean, he could try and screw across off this plant, but the problem is then you're losing control of the plant and one of the yellows is going loose. And I just don't think you've got the value in doing it. Well, he tried it. He did try it, but Callum's turn to put his hand up and apologise, because I think he's landed on this to middle. Ball's really close together, and referee Vivresco will be keeping a very eager eye on this. We've seen her call a push shot already this weekend. She's not scared to do so. But I think he can get away with not pushing this. He can indeed. Great camera work. Not quite such good cue ball work from Callum. Just needed to screw that out another 3 or 4 inches and he'd have been on this. Wow. Wow. Is that the final part that Callum Singleton will play? And he's not shown in this match what he's capable of. He's He's had some amazing results on his route through to the semi-final. He beat Tom Cousins 11-10. He beat Ronan McCarthy 11-7. He beat Mark Fleming 8-7. Lee Clough 8-6. Daryl Whitworth 8-5. Matt Lawrenson 8-3. Christy Caulfield 8-6. He's literally come all the way through the losers' side. And he had a forfeit in losers round 1. He lost in the first round to Lee Washbrook. I think I'm right in saying that I saw a status from Lee saying Lee was something like 7-4 behind, and then 8-6, something along those lines, and then came back and won. So he got thrown, Callum got thrown to the losers' side after round 1, so he's done great to even get himself to here. But I did mention earlier, playing Tom Cousins in the quarter-final, it's almost that hangover where you just beating Tom Cousins, especially with the history where he'd lost in one of the earlier series against Tom when he should have beaten him. And then you kind of got that come down, and you've got to build yourself back up again. And he's just not been able to do it. Shaun Storry has been impressive all weekend. He beat Mick Hill in the quarter-final 11-7. Gareth Hibbert in the last 16 11-9. There's 2 sculpts on their own. Dave Fernandez, who has been flying in winners qualification, 11-8. And this really is a tale of 2 sides, isn't it? I mean, Shaun Storry's come through the winners' side, beat Toby Bolt in a deciding frame in winners round 2. And he beat Adam Penwell in winners round 1. And in his opening game, he beat Drew Hughes 11-9. That was the first game we saw on the stream on Friday morning when we turned up here at 10 o'clock in the morning. So that's been the players' route through to the semi-final, and it looks like it's going to be Shaun Storry versus Scott Gillespie. Just landed slightly high on this, and it does make it slightly more difficult. He needs to play this with just a trace of check side, just to straighten the ball up through the middle of the table, and making sure that he doesn't get a kick at this important time. Asking for the cue ball to be cleaned. Is he going to screw round off 2 rails? No, just a simple up and down. You see him purse his lips because he's probably wanted to be another 18 inches up the table. And now he's left this thin cut to corner. Doesn't have to do anything with the white ball. He can play it naturally, come twice across table. It's all about focusing on the pot and the pace. Cue ball twice across table, and Callum taps his arm in appreciation for another good clearance by Shaun Storry, and a good solid performance sees him through to the final. He wins 11-5. Hats off to Callum Singleton for a valiant effort and another great showing in this Supreme Series, but coming back to battle it out in the final is going to be Scott Gillespie versus Shaun Storry. I'm not sure if we're going to try and get a quick interview with both players before the game kicks off. We may. I'll just try and keep an eye out for that. But if we don't, we'll see you back here for the final. And it won't be long. We're just going to reset things, probably, I would say, about 15-20 minutes. And we'll see you soon. So I can confirm that we will do interviews with both of the finalists before the final starts. So without further ado, we will be resetting everything, and we'll be back in the interview room in about 15 minutes. If you've liked the page, then you will get a notification when we go live. See you shortly.